Picture this. It's 3 days before Christmas, 1988. At JFK, parents are holding welcome home signs for kids coming back from a semester abroad. Pan Am, Flight 103 from London, is due in a few hours. 5 miles above southern Scotland, the flight is 7 minutes into level cruise on a clear night. 38 minutes after takeoff, the cockpit voice recorder picks up a single loud sound and stops. So, stow your tray tables, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for some extreme turbulence, because this is final boarding call.
Dance. Party.
Hello, and welcome to Final Boarding Call. I'm your disaster-obsessed host, Alice.
And I'm not. But I am Zach.
You are Zach. Do you want to give people the reminder tonight?
A quick reminder to please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey.
Tell a friend.
Oh.
Tell
2 friends?
your mom.
Oh.
We love moms.
We love moms. Oh my gosh. Okay. Just a heads up, this is a 2-parter.
Oh.
We haven't done a 2-parter in a long time, and it's a 2-parter because this is a massive case. Ooh, all the street boys on their street bikes doing street things.
It's a Friday night. We're a really fun couple.
Hey ho. Yeah. Let's go. We are fun. We got a bunch of race cars in the garage. We just don't drive them. All right. Before we begin, I want to give a shout out to Kate, who emailed me a long time ago, and she said, you have to cover this episode. And also, as a fun fact, she flew on this exact airplane 6 months before the story that I'm telling you.
Ooh.
Pretty cool.
Kate, glad you're with us.
I know. Lucky Kate. I also want to give a shout out to my Nana, who doesn't listen to this podcast, but we all love Nanas. Grandmas are amazing. And she called me randomly about a week and a half ago and asked, have you covered Pan Am Flight 103? I just watched a docuseries on it on Netflix. Sources, we have the aircraft accident report. The victims of this incident, there is a registry. We have Syracuse University's Memorial Archive. We have crew biographies. And, of course, a Mayday.
Why wouldn't there be?
There has to be on this one. This is one of the biggest. This is like...
There's probably every whatever that's ever covered air disasters has covered this one.
You guys, that's why this is a 2-parter. It was so many sources and
it's too
so
many
much.
informations.
It was so much for me to go through. So let's dive in. Let's go. December 21st, 1988. The shortest day of the year and the busiest travel week of the year.
Those are 2 things that don't work that well together.
You know the Christmas song, I'll Be Home for Christmas?
Everybody wants to be.
Everybody wants to be. 35 students from Syracuse University have just finished a semester in London and across Europe. Most are 19, 20, 21. They are carrying gifts, souvenirs, and the particular exhaustion of finals week.
Man,
Yeah.
depending on what kind of student you are, you know what that's like.
Yeah, for real.
And then if you're my kind of student, you don't.
Among them are Eric and Jason Coker, 20-year-old twin brothers from Mentham, New Jersey. They are 20, as I mentioned. Tonight they're sitting next to each other in 43A and 43B. Most of the Syracuse group is booked onto a connecting flight at JFK, so they will be home by midnight. There are other people on this airplane. there's a U.S. Army major coming back from working hostage negotiations in the Middle East.
Tough job.
A very tough job. A United Nations diplomat on his way to sign the accords that will grant Namibia its independence. Corporate executives, a research biologist, a management consultant, a 20-year-old flying home to Michigan, a 79-year-old woman traveling home to Budapest, a young chef in one of the last rows of the airplane, and in seat 39D, a day before her 25th birthday, is Flora Swire. She's a medical student and a researcher. There are whole families aboard too. 6 of them, in fact. More than 20 people in total, including children ranging from 10 months to 10 years old. 16 crew are working the flight. Let's meet some of them. We have Jerry Murphy, who is 51, from Twickenham, and she is the purser, which Zach and I know all about because we watched the Pan Am show. She joined Pan Am in 1963, which I think is when that show
was based,
and was one of the founding members of the London Heathrow base in 1972. So, in addition to flying, she had built an entire second education, a degree in grief counseling, a fellowship to study counseling, and a degree in social psychology from the Open University that she had just finished. So she spent her career learning how to sit with people on the worst day of their lives. Jocelyn Reyna is 26. Everybody just calls her Kim. There's a cassette tape of her 10th birthday party. Somebody asks her what she wants to be when she grows up, and she says, Pan Am stewardess. I love that. She spent 2 years learning French to qualify because Pan Am cabin crew
had to speak 2 languages.
Had to be fluent in 2 languages. She got hired in January. Her family found that tape while going through her things. Stacy Franklin is 20, hired in April, the youngest person working the flight. And Iria Scabo is 38, a former international cross-country skier who taught disabled children to ski in her spare time and was actually planning to leave the airline to spend more time with her husband and 7-year-old son. And then we have Milutin Viljermirovic. Yeah, that's right. I said that. And he is 35. He is the chief purser. He was born in Czechoslovakia and came to the States at 11. His hobby is flying, and he actually wants to be a pilot. So speaking of pilots, let's talk about who's flying this thing. Up front, we have Captain James Bruce McQuarrie, 55, who goes by Bruce. Almost 11,000 hours total, just over 4,000 of them on the 747 for flight hours. First Officer Raymond Wagner, who's 52, goes by Ray, and he has nearly 12,000 hours and 5,500 on this plane, the 747. Flight engineer Jerry Averitt, because you know we got a flight engineer, 46, has more than 8,000 hours, and who came to Pan Am through the merger with National Airlines in 1980. Bruce's last proficiency check was 6 weeks ago. Ray's was 3, and Jerry's was in October. So they all have very current certifications, and every single one of them is highly qualified.
We're good at this.
We are good.
Let us fly.
We're good.
We're peacocks.
The airplane is a Boeing 747-121, and it is named Clipper Maid of the Seas. It first flew in 1970, and it has spent its entire 18-year life with one owner. It's the 15th 747 the Boeing ever built.
Oh, wow.
By this evening, it's flown almost 72,500 hours.
Wow. That's
And
a lot of,
I know. and completed 16,497 flights. That includes basically one takeoff, one landing. That is considered
A flight.
a flight.
Yeah.
So, the fuselage of this is a tube about 21 feet across. It's pressurized along 190 feet of its length. It's built the way every big airliner is built. It's a skeleton of hoops, called frames, spaced every 20 inches from nose to tail, with aluminum skin riveted over the top of them. Where two skin panels overlap, they're joined with 3 rows of rivets and a bonded adhesive. Underneath the passenger cabin is a cargo hold. The forward one is about 40 feet long and 6 feet deep, and it doesn't have a floor. The luggage containers ride on rails about 2 feet above the bottom of the airplane's skin. So there is a gap underneath
Below
them,
it.
which makes sense because it's a circle and you want your luggage to be on something that is flat.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So there's a gap between the containers and the hole. There's one more thing about this specific airplane. It's been modified under a program called the Civil Reserve Air Fleet, which means that in a national emergency, it can be converted very quickly into a military freight plane on the main deck instead of passengers. To carry that kind of weight, Boeing replaced the main deck floor beams with beams of substantially heavier cross-section than a normal Boeing 747 has. So that is code for the floor of this airplane, much stronger than almost any other 747 flying. Very strong floor.
Interesting.
Now, was this just a tired old airplane? Because we did go over. This thing has
Could
some
be.
hours. That question gets asked a lot about this case. So here is the maintenance record. In its final 3 months, it went through 4 separate checks. A C check with an interior upgrade on September 27th, a B service check on November 2nd, a base check on November 27th, and another base check on December 13th, which was only 8 days ago. Investigators later went through every airworthiness directive and every service bulletin issued for 747 fuselage structure and checked them against this aircraft's records. It was in compliance 100%. A few maintenance items were outstanding, or not dispatched, but none of them were pertinent.
None of them were going to make this plane fall out of the sky.
No.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed to delay it.
No. And the routing is really a relay. So passengers coming from Frankfurt fly into Heathrow on a Boeing 727 feeder flight, and they transfer with their bags to the much larger 747. That 727 is parked at stand Kilo 16 tonight. I'm guessing that's just K16, but I wrote down Kilo 16 because I'm cool.
Yeah, you're so edgy.
I'm so edgy. Probably because I didn't understand what they meant, and one of the sources said that. But then right next to the 747 at Kilo 14. So passengers from other flights join at Heathrow too, and so does interline luggage, bags checked through from other airlines entirely. This is important because to understand the story, we need to understand how complex baggage routing is and how it is damn near impossible to know where every single bag is going, and it is chaos out there. So every single strand of this complicated web ends in the very same cargo hold, which is our plane. The aircraft has been on the ground about 6 hours. The loading is documented down to the pound because we need to know how heavy this plane is going to be. 11,616 pounds in compartment 1, 20,039 in compartment 2, just over 15,000 in 3, just over 17,000 in 4, and only 2,500 in 5. Total traffic load, 106,700-ish pounds. Fuel for the Atlantic, 240,000 pounds.
Oh.
You guys, that is
Takes a lot
much
of fuel.
gas. That is so much gasoline. Total takeoff weight, 713,002 pounds.
Don't forget the 2.
I know. It would have been, the OCD in me is like, oh, we were so close.
Yeah.
About
Find somebody to throw their water out.
about 20,000 under the maximum. So we are
Safe.
so safe. We are good. And the dispatch paperwork states that the cargo includes no dangerous goods, no perishable cargo, no live animals, and no known security exemptions. The weather is boring, which is great. It's a warm sector sitting over most of Scotland, a cold front 2,000 nautical miles west, moving in at about 35 knots, intermittent rain, cloud base around 2,200 feet, visibility better than 9 miles. That's pretty good. There's a jet stream of about 115 knots above 31,000 feet, but the wind profile doesn't have the shear that you would need for clear air turbulence. So basically they're saying, we're going to be fine. We might get a little bump here or there. It's going to be good. Flight 103 pushes back from Kilo 14 at 6:04 p.m. and takes off from Heathrow at 6:25. It's running a few minutes behind. Not enough for anyone on board to notice. Not enough to threaten a connection at JFK. Just a few minutes. And the report describes the departure in one word: unremarkable.
We love that.
Yes. Flight 103 climbs out of Heathrow and turns northwest over England towards Scotland and the ocean. The route is called the Daventry departure, one of 6 preset tracks out of Heathrow. Approaching a navigation beacon at Burnham, the crew take a radar heading of 350 and fly under a holding point at 6,000 feet. Then they get cleared to 12,000, and then we go all the way up to 31,000 feet, which is our cruising altitude. The aircraft levels at 31,000 northwest of Pole Hill at 6:56 p.m. In the cabin, people are settling in for a 7-hour flight. The Syracuse students are scattered through the airplane. In the galleys, the crew are working a service that they have done each hundreds of times. Outside, the air is around 40 below, and that's one of the few places where Fahrenheit and Celsius agree.
Oh, doesn't happen much.
Minus 40 is minus 40. Mouth hard words. Talk. Oh, I hated that sound. Hopefully you guys are appreciating the rain sounds that we have going on in the background. A nice little ASMR night here with final boarding call.
Getting some lovely lightning. It's my kind of weather for sure.
I know. Yeah. There are a couple early episodes, very early in our podcast, where Zach and I actually recorded outside. And do you remember, we did the 5 episodes where we recorded outside and the birds are chirping. It's very anti what we're saying. It was like a meditation podcast, except we were talking about
death.
Horrible, terrible tragedies. So anyway, the air is thin enough that an unprotected person would lose consciousness in just seconds. Inside the cabin, it's pressurized to the equivalent of about 8,000 feet.
Oh, that's something like how our elevation is here.
Hey, ho, we're ready to go.
Wow. Okay, aggressive. Bring it down a notch. Sorry for her, guys.
I apologize for my outburst. The difference between inside and outside is about 8.5 pounds on every square inch of the hole, and it is pushing outward, right? I always bring this up, think about the can of Pillsbury dough. That sucker,
it's vacuum sealed.
It wants to explode.
Yeah.
That can is holding on for its life.
Which is why when you undo a piece of paper, suddenly it goes...
Yes. Yes. Also, if you're not a Pillsbury dough fan, but soda, this is the same way that soda holds carbonation. It's thin aluminum under tension, and it is very good at its job up until something makes a hole.
But what about plastic bottles? What's your theory there?
At 6:58, the crew established two-way contact with Shanwick Oceanic Area Control, the unit that hands aircraft out over the Atlantic. Bruce checks in. Good evening, Scottish Clipper 103. We are at level 310. The controller acknowledges him. Nobody on that flight deck ever transmits again. That is I know.
Bizarre.
I know. In the forward cargo hold, in a container loaded at position 14L, so on the left side, there is a suitcase. Inside the suitcase is a radio cassette player. Inside the radio is a quantity of plastic explosive and a timer. At 7:02 and 44 seconds, Shanwick begins transmitting the oceanic clearance, the routine handoff for the crossing. 6 seconds later, the cockpit area microphone picks up a loud sound, and the tape ends. The flight data recorder stops in the same second. Neither of them was damaged. They stop because the electrical power feeding them is gone. Only 17 bits of data were lost, less than 23 milliseconds. The explosive detonates inside the container, and the first thing out of it is a shockwave, a wall of pressure traveling faster than sound, expanding as a sphere. It shatters the container's side and base, and it blows out into the gap between the container and the fuselage skin. The same unfloored space beneath the cargo hold. Because of the way the container's side slopes, the force coming out of it is directed downward and rearward. Fragments of the device and of the container wall hit the projecting flange at the base of the container hard enough to leave microscopic craters in the metal. And when investigators later put those craters under a microscope, they found melting on the interior surfaces and traces of elements that don't belong in that part at all, including aluminum matching the container's own sloping face. The shockwave reaches the inside of the aircraft's skin, about 25 inches apart, and shatters in an area of that skin about 18 to 20 inches across. So that's like dinner plate. A
foot and a half.
Gigantic dinner plate.
Foot and a half for us.
Yeah. And here's something that sounds impossible. That shattered metal doesn't move yet. So shockwaves travel so much faster than aluminum can physically get out of the way, that the skin is broken, but it's still sitting exactly where it was. Investigators know this because when they recovered those fragments, the inner surfaces were sooted and pitted, sprayed with shrapnel and unburnt explosive from behind, which could only happen if the metal was still there to be sprayed.
Sounds right to me.
Then the second wave arrives. Not a shock this time. Gas. The explosive has converted from solid to superheated gas. And gas is slower and heavier, and it keeps pushing. It's a longer, more sustained pressure over a much wider area. The dinner plate becomes a hole 17 feet long.
Wow.
And 5 feet high, running from just below the passenger windows almost all the way down to the keel of the airplane. The skin around it stretches, blisters, bursts, and peels back in petals. And the petals curl outward, even against a 400-mile-an-hour airstream, because there is so much energy behind them. 3 cracks run out of that hole and just keep going. One runs backward along the fuselage in a stepped path, riding one line of rivets and then dropping to the next all the way to the wing. One runs forward. Together, they make a single tear about 43 feet long.
Oof. That's long.
That's really bad. The third runs downward, around the belly, and up the far side of the airplane. Another 23 feet. At the same time, the gas is going up. Oof. Some dramatic thundering happening. This is a pretty dramatic
It knows the
story.
mood.
Yeah, this one is rough. It breaks through the cabin floor above the container. Now, this plane has a reinforced floor. Boeing's own figures say that floor fails at 3.5 to just under 4 pounds per square inch of upward pressure. Investigators found no bruising on the top panel of the container, which means the container never physically hit the floor. The gas alone did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. The 747's control cables, the steel lines running from the flight deck back to the surfaces that make the airplane climb, descend, roll, are routed through the floor beams. Pitch cables through the upper deck beams, roll cables through the main deck beams. The explosion moves those beams. The beams pull the cables, and the cables move the control surfaces. The bomb doesn't disable the plane's controls. For a moment, the bomb is flying the airplane, which is crazy. Nose down, rolling left. We know that, and I want to tell you how, because it's the best detective work that I have seen, in my humble opinion, because it has nothing to do with the black boxes, which have already stopped. Black boxes are done.
Oh.
So we're flying, investigating blind. It's written on the engines. So all 4 engines were recovered. All 4 had scars on the inside of their fan casings, where the tips of the spinning blades had scraped the housing. Engineers call it a tip rub. Every engine had one. And Pratt & Whitney's specialists said the rubs were deeper and ran farther around the circumference than anything they had ever seen on a 747.
Interesting.
A fan only rubs like that if the air is coming into the engine at an angle instead of straight on. For all 4 to do it at once, the whole wing had to pitch sharply nose down while rolling left, with the engines
just to create
still,
like that. You guys would have to see our hand gestures, but that like...
Yes. Yeah, like you're like slicing through the air.
Fruit Ninja.
Truly. So the wing maneuvered, which means that the wing is still on the airplane at this point. The number 2 engine, the inboard engine on the left wing, 27 feet behind the bomb and 30 feet outboard of it, has a different kind of damage. Its fan blades are bent and battered in a pattern called shingling, which happens when an engine swallows debris while it's making very real power.
It's rotating fast enough that it hits stuff that got sucked through.
Yeah, it's causing very real damage. Inside the intake, there are paint smears, general foreign object damage, and a clear indication left by a cable matching the closure curtains on baggage containers. The number 3 engine on the other wing has no shingling at all. So number 2 ate the bomb's debris while running. Number 3 didn't. And Pratt & Whitney say that once a fan starts rubbing that hard, it loses essentially all of its rotational energy within 5 seconds. The whole maneuver is bracketed in 5 seconds.
That's wild.
Yeah.
To picture how fast they have to be spinning to be in flight, keeping that power going of those blades had to be crazy, and it'll stop completely making power in 5 seconds.
This to me is so crazy because usually we have some sort of recorder where we're able to see what inputs are happening,
like
what
a
is
graph
happening,
of it,
something.
Basically.
All that we have, they are literally reading scratches inside of these engines to determine what happened. It's pretty amazing. Now, the airplane starts coming apart. And investigators can time that too using the ground.
Like how long it took them to hit it?
Like where things start falling.
Oh, yeah.
Versus where the rest of the plane ends up. 11 pieces of wreckage carried confirmed traces of detonating high explosive. Plotted on an ordnance survey map, they all fell along a remarkably tight line running east. Half were within 800 feet of it. So all,
not bad.
No, all were within a third of a mile. Investigators called it the datum line, and they used it as a starting gun. Those pieces left the airplane first. Everything that left later flew further along the track before it fell. So distance past the datum line is time. At the aircraft's ground speed of 434 knots, about 500 miles an hour, the arithmetic is simple. 800 feet is 1.1 seconds. 1,000 feet, 1.3. 2,000 feet, 2.7. 3,000 is 4. Sorting the wreckage into those bands gives you a sequence. At about 1 second, blast fragments and pieces of the lower forward fuselage. A few pieces of the upper forward fuselage too, which means the blast took those off directly.
Wow.
By 1.3 seconds, structure from the right side of the airplane is already gone. The far side of the bomb, including the window belt, which shows the front of the aircraft twisting away to the right and peeling loose at a point about 2/3 of the way toward the wing. By 2.7, there is not enough structure left to hold the front of the airplane onto the back of it.
It's just insane.
I know. 0.7 seconds. The nose and the flight deck separate within 2 to 3 seconds of detonation.
That is so fast.
You can't even comprehend.
Yeah, but it's also, God bless, not enough time for anybody to
always
panic.
say that.
Yeah, after being ripped through and losing all the pressure, there's no way that you said that it would take seconds for everybody to lose consciousness, right?
As it goes, it swings backward and to the right and strikes the number 3 engine, knocking it off its pylon. Investigators later found a heavy, semi-elliptical scuff mark on the lower right side of the nose section and matched it exactly to the profile of the number 3 engine's intake. So right now it's just the whole nose and flight deck
hit the third engine.
Gone. Yep.
Yeah.
They're gone. And so is the third engine. Then the forward fuselage and everything that had been inside it hits the tail. Containers, cargo, structure, cabin contents come back through the airflow into the horizontal stabilizers, which are the small wings at the back of the airplane. They are very important. The left one is destroyed by a frontal impact from the base of the baggage container. This is the whole thing is like, you
crumbling.
picture this and it literally is like tin canning itself. The outer half of the right one is torn apart. There are smear marks on the skin from something soft that hit while moving both backward and sideways relative to the airplane. And when investigators reassemble the wreckage, they found a fragment of the right stabilizer's spar cap, which that's a new one for the podcast. It is a structural spine from the tail. This thing is embedded in a piece of fuselage from the left side of the airplane.
Oh, geez.
Just below.
And we said the right side support, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, the right.
It already jumped to the other
Correct.
side, but then also moved from front to back.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So that means that panel came off the left side, went over the top of the aircraft, hit the tail hard enough to bring a piece of it back. That damage sits in the 2,000 foot band. 2.7 seconds. All of that damage happened. 2.7 seconds. So the nose section is long gone. Sucker is gone. Inside the nose section, we have people gone. Bruce, Ray, Jerry, at least one flight attendant, and several first-class passengers still in their seats. The section falls almost flat on its left side, slightly nose down, with no forward speed left at all, into a field at Tundergarth, about 2.5 miles east of the town. There is no blast damage anywhere on it. There's no sooting. Every switch and control on that flight deck is set for normal cruising flight. Nothing suggests that the crew even had time to respond to anything.
In any kind of way.
In any capacity. It was like, boom, you're gone. That quickly. Oh, my heart, it gives me absolute chills.
The ick.
It really gives me anxiety. It gives me massive anxiety. The rest of the airplane keeps flying. For
because
just
it's
a
momentum.
moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. For just a moment. But it does remain airborne for a second. The tail fin begins to break up. Investigators never pinned down exactly why. The report suspects flutter, the runaway oscillation that tears a structure apart when the airflow and the structure's own vibration lock into step. With the fin gone, the airframe can yaw sideways. So we're rolling, we're going, and side loads snap the pylons on the other 3 engines. They come off completely with their mounts. So now we've got
0 engines.
0 engines. There's no engines. There's no front of the plane. There are no engines. We
There's
have
no tail
lost
of
the
the plane.
tail.
Yep.
Yep. It is essentially a tube that's also been completely ripped apart and is bent
Yeah.
up. It's like a crumpled can.
It's not even a lawn dart at this point.
No.
It's just a
Yeah.
hollow can.
The descent steepens until it's vertical at around 19,000 feet, and the rear fuselage breaks up on the way down between 19,000 and 9,000 feet. What's left at the bottom is the wing. Both wings, joined by the center section. That's all that is, quote unquote, left.
Yeah, together.
A single object weighing about 100,000 pounds, carrying roughly 200,000 pounds of jet fuel. 150 tons of aircraft and fuel falling essentially straight down at a mean speed of 440 to 500 knots.
Good Lord, that's fast. That's
Fa-
what, 585, 590 mile an hour?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, I think actually more.
I think it's more. 5 miles below, in Lockerbie, Michael Gordon is on the phone with a friend when a rumbling fills his house. He tells his friend to hang on. There's something odd outside. He's a police officer in the town. He's off duty tonight. His house sits up on a hill with a clear view of Lockerbie. The wind is hitting the window in front of him, strong and westerly, but there's a second noise now, above the wind, and it sounds like thunder. Then it gets louder, and it sounds like a jet fighter, a sound that he knows well because military aircraft pass through here all the time. Then he sees dark objects falling against the light of the town. And off to his right, up high, a long, thin black shape with fire along its upper surface, moving toward Lockerbie.
I can't even imagine the sight.
Oh my gosh. And there is nothing. There is nothing to do.
Yeah.
Too fast, uncontrollable. You're just watching an imminent catastrophe. At 7:03 and 36 seconds, 46 seconds after the explosion. Less than a minute, folks. I just am trying to really reiterate how fast all of this happened. A British geological survey station 14 miles away registers a seismic event of magnitude 1.6.
It registered as an earthquake?
Registered it as an earthquake.
Wow.
That's the wing arriving at Sherwood Crescent.
That was just the wing? Oh, God.
The crater is 155 feet long. A survey done from photographs put its volume at about 20,000 cubic feet and the weight of earth and rock displaced at well over 1,500 tons. Then the fuel ignites. The fireball goes up several hundred feet, and it throws burning debris far enough to start a major fire at a garage a quarter of a mile away.
Good Lord.
A gas main ruptures. Lighter material gets carried up and blown downwind for miles. 4 houses in a row, and the people in them. Because this is happening so fast. So fast. There is no run and tell your neighbors to get out. Yeah, there are so many deaths, and there are children. There are elderly people. We have Mary Lancaster, who's 81. We have Jean Murray, who's 82. We have families.
Multiple kids under 10.
13-year-old, a 10-year-old, 2 10-year-olds. Oh my gosh. In total, 11 people on the ground die. And the remains of 7 of them are never found.
From people that were on the ground already? Or from people
These people in their houses.
Yeah, wow.
And they died.
I know, but I'm just... The not finding remains in a crash site like that is crazy to me.
I think this sucker burned
Real
in
hot,
a crazy way. It was full of jet fuel.
Yeah. And probably kept burning for a while.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do.
No. The Flanagan's son, Stephen, is in a neighbor's garage fixing his sister's bicycle. He watches his house and his family burn. Father Patrick Keegans, the local Catholic priest, had gone upstairs to hide his mother's Christmas present. Then the explosion, and then the shaking stopped, and he was somehow uninjured. His mother was unharmed too, shielded by a refrigerator. His house at 1 Sherwood Crescent was the only one on the street not destroyed. A separate 60-foot section of fuselage, the belly, and the cabin floor from behind the wing, running back most of the length of the airplane, comes down at Rosebank Crescent, about 1/3 of a mile away. 3 landing gear units are still attached to it.
Wow.
And so is a cargo door, still latched. 3 of the 4 engines land together in one part of town. One of them severs a water main. The 4th engine, number 3, the one that the nose knocked off, embeds itself in a road in the northeast, trailing flame. That is the meteor-like object that residents described. When it hits, the explosion lifts the tiles of Michael's roof. He says hello into the phone twice. The line is already dead. The blast has cut out the town's telephone service.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. So he sees this and he's, what is happening? He goes down to Sherwood Crescent. The street is obviously on fire. The lawns are on fire. The houses are on fire. He can't walk without his pants and shoes catching on fire. That is how much fuel
is everywhere.
Burning. Everything is on fire. And in the middle of it, he finds an airline ticket lying perfectly intact. No fire damage, no fuel, no contamination of any kind. The emergency response was fast, and it was also helpless.
Well, they were there, just nothing they could do.
What the fuck did you do? 7:03 p.m., a police patrol in the town radios Dumfries and Galloway Constabulary that an aircraft had crashed. At 7:04, the fire brigade takes a call from a member of the public reporting what they think is a huge boiler explosion at a place called West Acres. At 7:07, the first appliances are moving. By 7:10, one is on scene at Rosebank. 15 pumps go out initially, eventually 20. 7:37, the first ambulances leave for the Royal Infirmary, carrying injured residents. 2 are seriously hurt, 3 have minor injuries. Those 5 people are the only survivors of anything that happens tonight, of people that are impacted by this.
Man.
At 7:40, Sherwood Park and Sherwood Crescent are evacuated, what's left. And then at 8:25 p.m., the nose section is found at Tundergarth. By 10 o'clock, the fire master reports fires across an area of the town center roughly 1.25 miles by 1/2 mile. Concentrated in the southwest around Sherwood. Water and electricity are cut. Water has to be trucked into the town because it broke the water main.
Yeah, I couldn't feed it anymore.
The main seats of fire aren't out until 20 past 2 in the morning. And small fires are still burning at 20 to 5 in the morning. 21 houses will have to be demolished. Many more need substantial repairs. And the lighter debris is still traveling. It comes down in 2 long trails running east. The northern one, mostly rear fuselage and fin, effectively ends about 15 miles out. The southern one, the fuselage, the forward fuselage, the tailplane, the pieces that left first, runs across southern Scotland and northern England in a straight band, about 80 miles, all the way to the North Sea. The crime scene will eventually be measured, and I think this is our biggest one on record, but correct me if
farthest range.
I'm going to tell you what it is, and somebody correct me if I've said one bigger than this, but roughly 840 square miles. Nearly the width of Scotland. That's our crime scene.
Man.
Everyone on the plane, obviously, has perished. There is no fucking way that this is survivable. Like, unbelievable devastation. All 259. In addition to that, we have 11 victims that were just in their houses. Living their lives at 7 whatever at night. 270 in total. Citizens of 21 countries.
All passed.
Yeah.
Citizens of 21 countries.
Yeah. Like a massive, diverse group of people. 10 of the passengers are never recovered or never identified. The post-mortems find severe multiple injuries consistent with an aircraft coming apart in flight and then hitting the ground. They find no pathological indication of an in-flight fire. And they find no evidence that anyone was injured by shrapnel after the explosion. The report from the AAIB, which is the Air Accidents Investigation Branch, which is the UK body that investigated this crash, it says in section 1.15.1, survivability, one line, this is what it says, the accident was not survivable, period.
In any way.
Yes. The inquest heard something different. A farmer's wife found one of the flight attendants alive in the field at Tundergarth.
After that
woman
fall and
died.
explosion.
I am not saying that one thing is true and one thing is not. I am simply saying what the sources said. And there are sources that said that there was a flight attendant who was alive, but she died before help could be brought. Both of these things are in the record, so I believe what you want. That would be a miracle. From that height, I just can't. And that much damage, I don't know. Of the 10 passengers never recovered, because how we've had insane things happen where people have survived from falling out of airplanes, but none of them were above, I don't know, like 5,000 feet. This one is 30,000. That's a whole nother.
They would have been completely passed out.
Crazy. That's crazy. I don't know. Of the 10 passengers never recovered, 8 held seats in rows 23 through 28, directly over the wing. The remains of 13 more people seated around them were found in or near that crater. The pattern suggests those 8 stayed with the wing structure the whole way down. And 3,000 miles away, at JFK, the monitor still says Flight 103 is on time. By dawn, on the 22nd, More than 1,000 police officers and 600 military personnel are moving into a town that only has 4,000 people. Nobody yet knows what happened. There are two possibilities on the table, and only two. Either an 18-year-old airplane came apart on its own, or somebody put a bomb on it.
To tear it apart like that.
The answers to that question is scattered across 840 square miles of Scottish and English countryside, in pieces ranging from whole sections of fuselage that will need a crane to move, down to fragments that'll be collected smaller than a fingernail. It takes 7 days to find out which, and it takes another 12 years to find out who. Through a Swiss electronics company, a clothing shop on the island of Malta, and one green circuit board half the size of your thumbnail. But that is for next week. Zach, that is part 1.
That's a vicious one.
Insane.
I mean, I know that we've had stories with more death. We've told the highest death toll one that there was.
Tenerife.
Yeah, but just the sheer foul play at it just makes it so much worse.
So gross. It's just...
Errors happen, and things can happen because we haven't experienced it before, so we don't have ways to avoid it. But this was just some bad thing, some bad person.
It's super fucked. And we're going to dive into all of it next week. I know. So thank you guys for hanging on with us. And when I say this story is just getting started, I mean it. This investigation, the trial, everything that follows is mind-boggling. So please strap in, because next week is going to be another doozy of an episode.
Super curious.
Yep. Until then, remember to stow your tray tables, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for the unexpected, because not every trip reaches its final destination.
Goodbye, everyone.